Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you for joining me this evening on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday evening. I want to say welcome to the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. I am trying to see if it should be working. I have been trying to get myself back into StreamYard to be able to stream these lives because I don't like streaming them from my Facebook page directly. So anyway, I am hoping that this works and that I'm able to see you guys' comments. So I'll just wait a few moments to give you guys an opportunity to chime in. Hopefully, I've ironed out all the kinks because that was one of my main goals I wanted to be able to do today. Um, this live was going to be a lot different than the ones that I typically do. However, I may or may not be up here that long because this one's a little bit more about me, but I wanted to just share a little bit of my story in hopes that maybe this will help somebody to understand and see things a little bit differently when it comes to themselves. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Um, I think I have a few people here. If not, I'm going to wait just a moment just to give you guys some time to pop on. Um, so yeah, I'll wait. But I hope you guys have had a wonderful week so far. We are just a few short days away from Christmas and breaks and downtime that a lot of people could use, especially myself. I feel like this week I'm running off of fumes. However, I just want to welcome you guys to the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. I am your host, Frances McMillan. I am a licensed mental health therapist. I am also a mental wellness coach here and business coach here in Jacksonville, Florida. Just to tell you a little bit about the Mental Wellness Sanctuary, it's just a safe space that was created by me in order for us to just talk about some life altering things. Hopefully, bring light to some topics and all that might help you be able to understand a little bit more about where you are and also where you would like to be. So, again, this is one of those things where it does not establish a coaching or counseling relationship with myself. However, if you are in the Florida area and you're looking for a therapist, I am taking new clients. I am also taking new coaching clients, and those links will be posted in the comment section for you guys if you're looking to reach me at any given time. So I just want to say thank you for those of you that have popped in on Clubhouse. You are welcome here anytime. Same thing goes for those of you that are streaming with me on Facebook and YouTube. I appreciate you guys for joining me. So tonight's topic is talking about who or what are you waiting for by the window. And I know most people are kind of like, what? Make this make a little bit of sense for you, but let me break it down a little bit. So, there was a stage in my life where I had kind of hit a plateau. And I know if you guys are familiar with the word plateau, if you are working out or you're doing certain things and it appears that those things were once working for you, but then they stopped working for you, is a really good example of kind of sort of where I was at in this particular time and space. I want to say this was around 2015, 2016. Um, I had been going to school, I had been working, I had been taking care of my two kids, and I was tired, y'all. I was tired. So what ended up happening is I discovered that it was time for me to actually begin my healing process. Okay, y'all. And what I meant by that was I had, I guess you can say I had a little bit of a come to Jesus. Um, and when I say I had a little bit of a come to Jesus, like I literally had a little bit of a come to Jesus because I was so stuck, y'all. I just felt really stuck. I felt really stagnant. I felt as though I wasn't really able to do a lot of the things that I was desiring to do. And because of that, it just seemed like on top of that, there were just a lot of different things that appeared to have been going wrong in my life at the time. So to me, it was kind of like a wake up call that I needed to make some changes, right? So anyway, during this time, I was going to school. I was working on my master's at the time, and one of the things that one of my professors used to say to us is that it is very important that as a therapist, you learn how to be on both sides of the coin, meaning to learn how to be a client, but then also to learn how to be a therapist. And myself at the time had never been to anybody's therapy, anything. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go I'm just gonna go to therapy and see what it's about, you know. Turns out, guys, it was a really good idea. It was something that I absolutely needed in my life because during that time, it helped me to discover who or what I was waiting for by the window. So let me give you guys a backstory about this window. So in the beginning stages of me doing my healing work and stuff like that, I had realized that there was just a lot of things in life that I happened to have been waiting for. I have been waiting on apologies from things from people that may have done me wrong or different things like that. I may have been waiting for certain individuals to step up or to show up the way that I needed them to show up or whatever those things were, but there were a lot of different spaces that I needed some kind of healing from. And so I don't know if you're a visual learner like I am, but when I was sitting there looking at it, hindsight 2020, and I'm looking inside of like my own little house. Um, there was a window, and there, of course, there's several windows in our houses, but there was windows that I was sitting at, and each one of them represented something different. So it was almost a mental picture that one window created another window that created another window that created another window. So it indeed encouraged me to go back and look at who or what was by each one of my windows. So, long story short, growing up, um, I did not have my dad around as much as I would have liked to have had him around. I can talk about this now because I've done a lot of healing work behind this, but I know that I'm not the only one that's out here that grew up without a parent, whether that be a mom or a dad. But because in my instance, it was my dad, I'm going to use that. So, being a younger girl, it was a difficult thing because you expect certain things and certain people to be there for you. um Given the situation, there wasn't a whole lot that my dad was able to do, so therefore it left me feeling a certain kind of way. Well, my therapist at the time kind of helped me to backtrack to let me know that this was a window that I had been sitting in. And so once I was aware of this window, then I had to kind of pick apart what were some of the things that were created because of this window. So I'll give you an example when I say things that were created. So looking back on it as I began to do my work with my therapist at the time, she was identifying or helping me to identify some of the things that I had felt because of that. She said, possibly, what are some of the things that you feel like you struggled with, right? Because of this particular um, situation when it comes to being raised without your dad the way you want him there. And I could backtrack and trace some things like, maybe low self worth or low self esteem, some unworthiness, maybe perfectionism. These are just some of the things that I felt like I had developed personally over time because of it. So, looking back on how it impacted me childhood wise, it kind of stunted my growth or my progress in certain areas emotionally. I felt like at times, um, I could be very distant. I didn't get really close to a lot of people, different things like that, because I wasn't sure if they were going to stay or if they were going to go. So that's just one small example of kind of sort of one of my windows. And at the time, what that window created in my life. But then when I grew up a little bit more, let's tag team into like your adolescent years, when you start being interested in, boys or girls, or, whatever your cup of tea is, and you're, trying to find your way out here in the world or different things like that. It really made me question a lot when it came to myself. It made me question a lot about, how I viewed myself and how I showed up in the world. And there was a situation that occurred when I was about 13 or so, where let's just say when that situation occurred, the there was a budding seed of like anger that came up. And because of that, I developed another symptom that I could add, or another window that I could add to the window that I already had. So just to keep you guys up to speed with me, um, the first window that I developed, remember I said there was a window that developed because of another window that developed because of another window. So the first window was the daddyless daughter that created another window of low self esteem, which created another window of feeling unworthy, which then created another window for me at the time, surrounding perfectionism. And I don't know if any of you that are listening struggle with perfectionism. It was something that I struggled with for a really, really, really long time, because the way I saw it in my mind at the time was that in order for me to be appreciated, seen, loved, recognized, worthy, um, that I had to show up in a particular way. I had to show up perfectly. I couldn't make any mistakes. I couldn't do anything wrong. I had to do everything right in order for me to be accepted or loved or whatever the case may be. So because of that, I put a lot of pressure on myself to show up a particular way, to be this kind of mom, to be this kind of scholar, to be this kind of whatever. And when you put that amount of pressure on yourself sometimes, and because we're human, we're going to fall short. A lot of things that we do are not going to be perfect. They're not going to always get it right. But because I had that notion behind that, that I was going to be different, I was going to show up different, I was going to be successful, I was going to be somebody, I was determined to not be a statistic. Like that was a big deal for me. Because of that, again, like I said, it put me in this very interesting space in my life. So when 2016 came around, like I mentioned, for those of you that are just joining me, thank you for popping in. um, I had exhausted myself trying to show up a particular way. If there were relationships in my life, I was exhausting myself trying to, prove my worthiness or different things like that. So when I sat back and I looked at it in its like grand scheme of things, I had to go through this whole process, y'all, of, and this is just one set of windows. I know we all have windows, right? Um, but this is just a part of some of the things that I had to take a back seat on and look at for myself, because one of the things that I did not want to have happen was I did not want any of the things, I didn't want my windows to become my children's windows. And because we have friends and family and people that are watching us, it made me also think about how I didn't want my windows to be windows that they had to look at me through, or windows that I influenced them to develop because of how I was or how I was seeing things. So, for those of you that are just joining me on today, this, like I said, is just a little backstory about me a little bit more. And I do have some questions for you guys, of course, like I always do. But I just wanted you guys to see and understand that a lot of the reasons why we think, act, and behave a particular way is because of the windows that we are sitting by. And then whatever that window was, or, whoever that person is that we're waiting for the window by. So for me, at the time, I was waiting for my dad at the window. And what was I waiting for him at the window to do? Okay, I was waiting for him at the window to show up, right? And if you look at my issues that I had with the other windows that were created, by him showing up at the window, I was waiting for him to validate me, to show me that I was worthy, to tell me that I didn't have to be perfect, right? Um, and to help build my self esteem up at the time. And so that's how I created those windows. And so on today, I wanted to challenge you guys, like I always do in these lives, to evaluate possibly yourself, who or what you might be waiting for at your windows. Um, One of my windows, I was waiting for an apology from my dad, to be honest with you guys. And I waited for that a really long time. And we're cool now. We talk and everything now. But back then, it was something that really kind of sort of governed my life. It was something that determined what decision I made, if I went left or right, up, down. Like it was one of those things where it was like, okay, well, based off of this window and this window and this window, I'm going to have to respond this way. So I want you guys to make those connections with yourself. So if you're just joining me, grab you a pen and some paper. Y'all might as well always bring pen and paper when y'all come to my lives, because I'm going to always have something for you guys to write down, or something for you guys to to go back and think on. So the first thing that I want you guys to write down once you get your pen and your paper is, of course, the main question I asked you: who or what are you waiting for by the window? When you think about this window, y'all, I want you to think about who or what may have hurt you. Um, it doesn't even have to be that, it could be grief, where you're grieving the loss of a loved one, you're grieving the loss of a relationship or a job. Um, when you think about your windows, I mean, it could be um, any kind of failures that you may have had, even if you feel like you yourself are not where you desire to be. I want you to put that down as a window for you. Because oftentimes these windows that we have are the reasons why we are still stuck. It's the reasons why a lot of times we can't make the progress that we need to make. It's the reason why we may find ourselves in repeated cycles or repeated patterns. Um, it could also be the reason why you take 5 steps forward and it seems like you take 20 steps back. So, like I said, for those of you that are joining us, just write down to yourself, who or what you're waiting for by the window. Um, and then, of course, like I always do, I'm going to ask you to also write down how this particular window, whatever it was, how has this impacted you today? Like if you had to say, okay, I'm sitting by this particular window of perfectionism, and perfectionism has cost me to not go ahead and do something because I'm trying to do it perfectly. That was something that I really struggled with a lot. If there was something that I needed to do, I can give you an example: these lives and stuff, or recording videos, or speaking when God would ask me to say things. I was so overly concerned about, it being perfect, it being a particular way, the time being perfect, that whatever it was, that I wouldn't move, but unless it was perfect to me. And then uh, what would end up happening is I would do something on a whim on a day where I was kind of tired, but I knew I needed to do it. And it turned out to be more successful than the times when I would take all day tweaking, changing, fixing, flipping, whatever. So that was one of the things, and not the only thing, but that was one of the things that kind of helped me to be like, girl, just post it. It is what it is. So again, Mrs. Natasha has put this in the chat for you guys. How has this window impacted you daily? And even if you want to take it back even further, I don't want to send people down too far memory lane, but I do want you guys to think about in different seasons of your life. I can remember childhood for me, adolescence for me, and adulthood for me, how these particular windows have impacted me, and how they may have stagnated me at times, or where I may have bled on my children or other people because of these windows. Um, so I'm just wanting you guys to think about those things as you are writing that down. Um, Try not to go too fast because I'm trying to give you guys an opportunity to do it. Um, the last part of this that I want you to think about, um, I probably can add this to the last question. I just want you to look at how this has also impacted you mentally, emotionally, and then spiritually. Okay. So, how has this window impacted you, right? But think about it in all three areas. Mentally, have you been stuck in a place? Are you dealing with anxiety because of this? Are you dealing with depression because of this? Are you dealing with, um, I don't know, extra stressors, different things like what are you dealing with mentally because of this window that you have not let go of, or that you're still sitting by waiting for somebody to apologize, waiting for somebody to acknowledge their wrong, waiting for somebody to say, waiting for somebody to show up for you or step in. What is it that you how is that impacting you when you think about it emotionally? Are you sad all the time? Your mood up and down? What are some of those things that you feel emotionally because of this window? Because you're waiting for this thing or this person by this window. And then lastly, of course, like I said, spiritually, how has this impacted you? Um, has it bombarded your relationship with God? Has it disconnected you from God? Has it removed your faith or diminished your faith, like, or your trust? Like, what has that window done for you spiritually? Um, so add all of that in together, in your writing. And Miss Natasha put different seasons and how different windows affect your choices, which is bringing me up to my next point about why this is so important. Being able to identify these things and being able to work through all of these things is vitally important because it directly it has a large domino effect on the rest of your life and everybody else that's connected to you. I know a lot of times when we're going through life, we make decisions, and I posted this a little while ago, but any decision that you make doesn't just, um, you know, it doesn't just impact you, it impacts everybody that's connected to you, whether we are speaking about your children, whether we are speaking about your husbands or wives, your significant others, your life partners, whatever you want to classify them as, whether we're talking about your job, whether we're talking about your business partnerships, all of these things, right, has a direct impact on the rest of your life. Now, some of us are able to acknowledge those things and see them and say, hey, this is something that I need to work on. And some people actively work on those things. However, that's not usually always the case. We will be aware of something and we still won't do what we need to do, and we're thinking about it, looking at it only as a reflection of ourselves, when we should be looking at how these decisions are going to domino to everybody else connected to you. And I don't just mean, again, those people immediately in your house. I'm talking about everybody. Because if you get up and you decide today that you don't want to do XYZ, but it's a part of your job, or it's a part of um, something that you signed up for, or your children are banking on you to be there, or whatever the case may be, everybody's going to be impacted by that decision for you saying, hey, I don't want to do this today. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't take care of yourself, don't do what you need to do for yourself, but I am saying that in certain situations, in certain instances, these particular windows are not just little hindrance and nuances here and there. These windows are big windows. Some people, if you look at your window has you stuck emotionally as a 8-year-old child, and you're unable to function higher at a higher emotional intelligence, because the pain of that window of whatever you're still waiting for is as far as emotionally as you can go. That's why we're seeing a lot of people struggling with their emotional intelligence these days, because these triggers, windows, are directly showing a lot of people like, hey, I'm still stuck at that traumatic experience when I was 12, or I'm still stuck at this particular divorce in my life, or I'm still stuck at this particular space where I lost a person or something. Like, we don't think about that, but a lot of us are. And so that's the main purpose for identifying these windows, because if you don't identify these windows, now, I am. Awareness is always the first step to change. So if you're not willing to be aware of the windows that you have in your life and what you're waiting for by that window, um, you'll stay stuck. Fast forward a little bit more to just close up this section about me and my window. One of the things that I discovered during this entire process was that even in times where we feel like, okay, if I could just get whatever this is that I was waiting for by the window, it will change everything. It'll change my life. It'll change this. It'll make things better, so on and so forth. I'm just here to tell you that even when you get those things, sometimes it doesn't change anything about what transpired. It may not even change how you feel about the situation. If it does, it doesn't change it enough for you to stay stuck and stagnant by a window waiting for something or someone that may never show up. Or if it does show up, again, like I said, it doesn't have the same impact that you thought it would. The funny thing about that is that, like I shared with you guys before, me and my dad, we talk and stuff like that now. And I had an open conversation with him a few years back about, just how his absence impacted me, because it was a part of my healing process, a part of my journey, right? And I had that conversation, and he apologized and different things like that. And um, y'all, it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. It didn't really change anything. It didn't change an experience. It didn't change merely how I feel. I was appreciative of it, and I was glad to hear it. But the funny thing about that is, after that, Holy Spirit asked me, now what difference did that make? Y'all, don't I tell y'all? That was a very eye opening thing, because I had spent my teen years and a lot of half of my early adulthood years working towards being a better version of myself, trying to be this and that, trying to be perfect, trying to do all these different things just to get the thing that I was waiting for by the window. And it didn't make a difference at all. So, again, y'all, um, when I think about it in its bigger picture, I think about how I had to grow up. And when I say grow up, like, I really had to look at my unhealed spaces, and I had to say, okay, this unhealed space ends here. Self, what do you need to do to heal this unhealed space? And I set out on a journey to do that. My hopes for you guys with this live today, and like I said, it's not like my typical lives that I do. My hope for you guys on today is that you will be able to identify those things that you are waiting for by the window, and being able to say, okay, self, if whatever I'm waiting for by this window never shows up, are you willing to stay in that space for the rest of your life and miss out on so much that could be manifested in your life, that God may want to do in your life? People that He may want to bring into your life and into your space, destiny helpers, people that will be there to help push you into the next level. One of the biggest things I discovered on top of that was that until you decide to go through that process, there are certain things that can't be released to you, because guess what? You're going to mess that up. you're going to damage that possibly, especially something or someone that's supposed to be there, that's supposed to help you get to the next area of your life. And so, y'all just be mindful of that. If whatever you're sitting for, waiting for the window, waiting by the window by, if it never shows up, is it worth you sitting there and not ever moving, not ever changing, it dominoing into your onto your children and your children's children? Is it worth you being mentally unstable or mentally imbalanced because you're waiting for something or someone? Is it worth being emotionally imbalanced or emotionally drained because you're waiting for something or someone to show up? um just think about that. I really want you guys to think about it. We don't have much time left in this new year. And I would hate for you to go into the new year still uninformed about the issues concerning yourself. Um, I always say this, at the end of the day, nothing changes until you get tired of it. And so when we don't do what we need to do, then obviously we're not tired of it yet. So I just wanted to say this evening to not let yourself go into this new year with the same issues, with the same cycles, with the same patterns. Don't allow yourself to wake up this time next year, 2024, and you're still in the same space, going through the same things, repeating the same cycles and patterns and habits. Because not only are you the one that is going through those things, but again, like I said, everybody that's connected to you is going to be going through those things again. They're going to be going through those things with you as well. It's not just you. So when you're working through your healing process, you have to know that it's bigger than you. You have to know that there are people counting on you to, hey, I had to do it, grow up. I had to understand the domino effects that was happening to those around me. I had to take a hard look at my childhood. I had to take a hard look at my adolescent years. I had to take a hard look at my adulthood. And every day I'm checking to see what my report card is on me needing to change something, whether it's a mindset or behaviors or anything. And the last thing I'm going to say before I close out, I posted something on yesterday, just wanted to reiterate that a little bit on this evening. The process of going through the healing is not a pretty process. It is not an easy process. Um, it requires a lot of pruning and pulling away of things and people and situations and spaces. It requires a lot. It requires a lot. But on the flip side of that, it's always worth it because you get connected to those who you were always meant to be connected to, those destiny helpers. You get more open doors, more opportunities to thrive and to shine and to do whatever it is that you've been purposed to do. You get an opportunity to be at peace and at joy within yourself, and you get an opportunity to share that with other people without it taking from you, versus being fueled by your traumas, being fueled through life by your hardships and those unhealed spaces. Don't allow the fear of not doing something. Don't let the fear of not doing something, the fear of healing, keep you in a stuck space. It's the best place that you can be. And if there are people on this live that are watching and those that may watch later, if they know what it was like to be in that broken space, now they know that they are like, listen, it's the best space to be in. Is it scary? Absolutely. Do you have to be obedient? Yes. Can you negotiate your way through life like I be trying to do with the Lord and it don't work? No. But it's so worth it, y'all. It really is. So I want you guys to think about this in between now and the new year. You got 11 days. Yeah. You have 11 days to figure out what you're not going to take. Which windows are you not going to take with you into 2024? What windows have to go? Who has to leave? Who can't stay? What places can you not be in? Who can you not talk to? What can you not listen to anymore? What can you not watch anymore? All of that stuff. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about all your windows. I want you to think about all the people that you have at the windows. It's time to let these windows go, y'all. I don't know about y'all. I ain't taking nothing or nobody into 2024 that ain't supposed to be with me. I only got enough Brandy McBrandy space to deal with what I'm supposed to be dealing with. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. Sign somebody else, get somebody else to do it. But as for me, I'm not taking anything or anyone, any windows with me into 2024. And I encourage you guys to do the same thing. What cycles can't repeat next year? What do you need to do differently to change the cycles? It starts with you. And I always tell people when they say, "Oh, I ain't have a lot of time." No, we make time for who and what we want to make time for. Everything else sounds like excuses to me. Of course, I just have to be the one to say that. So, y'all, I have, before I close out, y'all, I have putting on the finishing touches for my first workshop. The first workshop is going to be a more in-depth look at about learning. Unlearning is not for the faint at heart. We're going to be looking at the window or the lens that you see yourself through. That workshop will be $25. It will be in person. Um, it's going to be a very intimate setting, you guys. I'm going to be posting that before the weekend is out. I just want to make sure that it's right, not perfectionism, of course. But I just want to make sure that everything is working and everything is right. So if you want to sign up for it, I am capping it off at about 15 to 20 people just because I don't want it to be too large. Like I said, I want it to be a very intimate, small setting. So if you guys are interested in joining me for that in-person session, you're definitely able to do that. I do have a virtual option for you guys if you just want to chime in, but I have some stuff, some tools and all, some self-care toolboxes that I am creating for those that will be in person with me. Um, I don't know, who knows? I might expand it out to virtual, but it'd be kind of hard to ship all that stuff. So, for those of you that are local, if you would desire to come in person with us and to do this, would be great. Um, I do want to extend it to virtual, but I haven't quite made up my mind just yet. So, anyway, y'all, this also will be my last live for this year. I will be back on January the 3rd um, to start the new year off right. Of course, my topic of let me see, because I was playing around, I rearranged some stuff. So let me see what my next topic is going to be because I want you guys to be ready. I want you guys to come prepared January 3rd to talk about, let's see. Mm, 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 mm. I'm just a messenger, y'all. Oh, mm. Well, delayed obedience is still disobedience. Next up, first part of the year. That's a way to start it off with a bang, huh? Anyway, for now, that's the topic. I might switch it around. So I just want to say thank you guys for rocking out with me. It seemed like I just started this, guys, but I actually been doing this since October. So I wanted to thank you guys for hanging out with me at the Mental Wellness Sanctuary with your host. I am Frances McMillan, licensed mental health therapist here in Jacksonville, Florida. Don't forget, you guys, I am now a qualified supervisor. So if you know somebody in the area that is looking for, of course, they have to be local. But if you know somebody in the area that is looking for qualified supervisory um, supervision with somebody here, I am definitely able to do that. So I will also be circulating that flyer around as well so that you can share it with people that you know are licensed mental health therapists, or not licensed, registered mental health therapists that are trying to become licensed. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, I am done with my spiel for the evening. I pray that this finds you, and that when it does, that it helps you start the trajectory on being able to change your life. Your life depends on it, but so does the lives of those that are connected to you. Their lives also depend on it as well. So I want you guys to have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, because I will not see you guys again until next year. And January 3rd, we'll be back, starting fresh. And I'm coming in with I ain't gonna say guns a blazing, but yeah, we got to get ready. We got to be ready. So I hope you guys have taken some of the stuff that I have already shared with you guys, put you a little plan together about what you're going to do differently and how you're going to do those things differently, so that way we can move and do great things. We can heal, we can thrive, we can bless other people and be a blessing. Um, so, yes, I'll see you guys next year. Bye, guys.